5 years ago, Ethan Carter broke up with Maya Bennett because she lacked ambition. Now he stood frozen at his colleague's birthday party, watching his ex-girlfriend who'd gained 60 pounds, chopped her hair short, and radiated a confidence that made his perfect fiancée suddenly seem like a shadow, realizing too late that he'd destroyed the only woman who'd ever truly loved him. The invitation said casual attire, but everyone at David Chen's birthday party wore the kind of casual that cost more than most people's rent. I adjusted my Rolex, a gift from my fiancée Vanessa, and scanned the rooftop venue with practiced indifference. 33 years old, CEO of Carter Industries, featured in Forbes's 30 Under 35. Engaged to a former Miss New York who looked like she'd stepped out of a magazine. I'd built the perfect life from the ground up. Ethan, David grabbed my shoulder. Glad you could make it. There's someone here I want you to meet. Actually, you already know her. Maya Bennett. You two went to college together, right? The name hit me like a physical blow. Maya. I hadn't heard that name spoken aloud in 5 years. Not since the night I'd ended things in her small apartment, telling her I needed someone who matched my ambition, my drive, my vision for the future. She's incredible now, David continued, oblivious to my reaction. Started her own nonprofit 3 years ago. They've built schools in 7 countries, provided education to over 10,000 kids. She's the keynote speaker at next month's Global Philanthropy Summit. Come on, I'll introduce... Wait, you know her? Even better! He was already pulling me across the rooftop, and I couldn't figure out how to escape without seeming rude. Then I saw her, and nothing could have prepared me. The Maya I'd known was tiny, size 2, maybe 0. Long, perfectly straight hair she'd spent hours maintaining. Designer clothes she'd bought on credit card debt she'd hidden from me. Makeup always flawless. Nails always done. Appearance carefully curated to fit into my world. The woman laughing in a circle of admirers was none of those things. She was bigger, significantly bigger. Curves where there had been angles, softness where there had been sharp edges. Her hair was cut in a short, natural afro that framed her face like a crown. She wore a simple sundress that probably cost a tenth of what Vanessa spent on outfits, paired with flat sandals and no jewelry except small gold hoops. And she was radiant. Not magazine beautiful like Vanessa. Something different. Something that made everyone around her lean in like flowers towards sun. Maya, David called. Come, meet well, meet again, Ethan Carter. She turned, and our eyes met. I waited for recognition, for shock, for something. Instead, she smiled polite, pleasant, distant. Ethan, it's been a while. How are you? Like I was a casual acquaintance. Like I hadn't been the center of her universe for 3 years. I'm good. You look different, unrecognizable, beautiful in a way I can't define. Well, thank you. That same polite smile. David mentioned you're engaged. Congratulations. Vanessa's around here somewhere, I gestured vaguely. What about you? Are you single by choice? She said it with such easy confidence that it felt like a statement of fact rather than a defensive assertion. My work keeps me pretty busy, traveling about 9 months out of the year. David mentioned a nonprofit, Education Without Borders. We build schools and provide resources in underserved communities globally. Her face lit up when she talked about it, a brightness I'd never seen when we were together. Just broke ground on our 8th school last month in rural Kenya. That's incredible. You always wanted to do something meaningful. Did I? She tilted her head, like she was genuinely trying to remember. I think I wanted a lot of things back then that I didn't quite understand yet. Before I could respond, a man approached, tall, casually dressed, with easy confidence that didn't need expensive watches to announce itself. There you are. He handed Maya a drink. David's about to start the toasts. Thanks, James. She took the drink, her hand brushing his with familiar ease. Ethan, this is James Mitchell. He runs our operations in Southeast Asia. James, Ethan, Carter, we knew each other in college. The infamous Ethan. James's handshake was firm, his smile knowing. Maya's mentioned you. The guy with the 5-year plan, who couldn't understand why she wanted to join the Peace Corps. My face heated. Had I really been that dismissive? It was more complicated than I'm sure it was. James's tone wasn't hostile, just matter of fact. Water under the bridge, right, Maya? Ancient history. She squeezed James's arm. Come on, let's get closer for the toast. They moved away, her hand resting on his lower back, with a casualness that spoke of intimacy, not necessarily romantic, but close, connected, easy. Everything we'd never been. You okay, man? David had materialized beside me. You look like you've seen a ghost. That was my ex-girlfriend. Wait, that Maya? The one you... He stopped. Shit, I didn't realize. You two dated? For 3 years. And you ended it because? Because she'd been content working as a teacher's assistant making $30,000 a year. Because she'd talked about joining the Peace Corps instead of climbing corporate ladders. Because she'd seemed to lack the hunger, the drive, the ambition I'd been certain I needed in a partner. Because I'd been 28 and stupid and certain that success was measured in dollars and status. It didn't work out, I said finally. David looked at me like he was seeing something I wasn't saying. She's something special. The foundation she built, man, she's changing lives. Real, tangible impact. Not just writing checks, actually doing the work. She looks different. You mean bigger? David shrugged. Yeah, she stopped caring what people thought about her body. Said something about how poverty and food insecurity makes you rethink the privilege of appearance obsession. She's healthy, happy, confident as hell. He paused. Is that going to be a problem? Why would it be a problem? Because you're staring at her like you're seeing her for the first time, and your fiancé is watching you do it. I turned. Vanessa stood 20 feet away, champagne glass in hand, looking between me and Maya with the calculating expression I'd learned to recognize. This was going to be a long night. The party continued around me, but I couldn't stop tracking Maya's movements. She was magnetic. People gravitated to her, laughing at her stories, leaning in to hear about her work, clearly enchanted by whatever it was she'd become. So that's the ex? Vanessa appeared at my elbow, her voice carefully neutral. The teacher? Teacher's assistant, and that was 5 years ago. She runs a nonprofit now. How noble! Vanessa's tone suggested she thought it was anything but. She's certainly confident for someone her size. The comment landed wrong. I'd never noticed Vanessa's casual cruelty before, the way she assessed other women, found them wanting, dismissed them. She looks happy, I said. If you say so. Vanessa sipped her champagne. Are you going to stare at her all night? Or are we going to socialize? I'm not staring. You've looked at her 17 times in the last 20 minutes. I counted. She set down her glass. Is this going to be a problem, Ethan? No, it's just weird seeing her after all this time. Weird that she got fat. Weird that she's glowing, confident, completely unaffected by seeing me. Different. Vanessa studied my face. You still have feelings for her. Don't be ridiculous. I'm not being ridiculous. I'm being observant. She moved closer. You never talk about your exes. You've mentioned exactly 2 women in the 3 years we've been together, and only in passing. But this one, she's got you rattled. I'm not rattled. Ethan! Vanessa's voice dropped. I didn't get where I am by being oblivious. You're looking at her the way you've never looked at me, like she's the sun, and you're realizing you've been living in shade. The accuracy of her assessment stole my breath. I need air, I muttered, heading for the rooftop's edge. But Maya was there, leaning against the railing, looking out over the city. It's beautiful, isn't it? She said without turning. I forget sometimes. When you're traveling to places without electricity or running water, you forget how excessive all this is. It's a nice view. It's obscene. She turned, facing me. You know what this rooftop venue cost to rent? Probably more than my organization's operating budget for a month. We could build half a school with what was spent on champagne tonight. That's a pretty judgmental perspective, is it? Or is it honest? She wasn't defensive, just curious. When's the last time you thought about where your money goes? What it could do besides buy watches and fancy cars? I do plenty of charity work. Do you? Or do you write checks to avoid taxes and get your name on plaques? She held up a hand. I'm not attacking you. I'm genuinely asking. I couldn't answer because she was right. I donated to the right causes for the right tax benefits and PR optics. I'd never actually thought about impact. You've changed, I said finally. I stopped performing. She said it simply. Being with you, it was exhausting. I was constantly trying to be someone you'd be proud of. Someone who fit your image of success. Tiny, polished, pretty, amenable, never challenging your worldview, never being too much or too little. I never asked you to. You didn't have to ask. You just made it clear in 1,000 small ways that who I was naturally wasn't enough. Her voice wasn't bitter, just factual. The weight loss you praised but I achieved through near starvation. The straightened hair you preferred over my natural texture. The designer clothes I bought on credit because you were embarrassed when I wore Target to your work events. That's not fair, isn't it, Ethan? You told me I lacked ambition, but what you meant was that my ambitions didn't look like yours. You wanted a trophy wife who could network at galas. I wanted to teach kids in rural villages. Those are both ambitious goals. You just only valued one. So what? You gained 60 pounds to spite me? I gained weight because I stopped starving myself. Because I started eating regular meals. Because I was doing physical labor, building schools, instead of spending 3 hours a day at the gym, maintaining a body size that kept me weak and hungry. She laughed, and you know what? I'm healthier now. Stronger, happier. This body built a school with her own hands. Can you say the same? I couldn't, because I'd built empires on paper and screens, but never touched the actual impact. You don't even recognize me, she continued. And that's perfect, because I don't recognize the person I was when I was with you. She was a ghost, disappearing herself to fit your life. And now I'm solid, real, taking up space unapologetically. She smiled genuinely, warmly. It's the best thing you ever did for me, Ethan, breaking up with me. It forced me to figure out who I was without being defined by your expectations. You're with James. It came out more bitter than intended. James is my best friend and business partner. We're not together. She studied my face. Why would that matter to you? It doesn't. Ethan, you're engaged to a gorgeous woman who fits everything you supposedly wanted. Why do you care if I'm with someone? Because watching her tonight, confident, powerful, genuinely content, made me question everything. Made me look at Vanessa and see someone who'd never challenge me, never push me to be better, never be anything more than an attractive accessory to my success. I should go, I said. Vanessa's probably looking for me. Probably. Maya didn't move to stop me. It was good seeing you, Ethan. Truly. Closure is underrated. Closure. Because for her, that's what I was. A closed chapter. While for me, seeing her tonight had opened something I'd thought was sealed. Maya became completely different from who she was. Bigger, confident, unrecognizable. Ethan was rattled. Have you ever run into an ex and realized they'd transformed into someone you no longer recognized? How did it make you feel? Drop your story below. I couldn't sleep that night. Vanessa lay beside me in our penthouse apartment, breathing evenly, her beauty mask and silk eye covering in place. Everything about her was curated, maintained, optimized for appearance. I grabbed my phone and did something I'd avoided for 5 years. I Googled Maya. The results were overwhelming. Articles about education without borders, a TED Talk with 12 million views titled "Why Comfort is Killing Your Purpose," features in Forbes, Time, National Geographic. Photos of her in rural villages, covered in dust and sweat, laughing with children who'd never owned a book before her organization arrived. And an interview from last year that stopped me cold. Interviewer, you've been called one of the most influential philanthropists under 40. How does it feel? Honestly, it feels like I'm finally being who I was supposed to be all along. I spent my 20s trying to fit into someone else's vision of success. Small body, big smile, don't take up too much space. It took losing everything, a relationship I'd built my identity around, to realize I needed to build an identity that was mine. Interviewer, you've spoken openly about gaining weight and cutting your hair. Was that intentional? Maya, it was liberation. I stopped asking, will he like this? And started asking, do I like this? Turns out, I like taking up space. I like being strong enough to carry building supplies up a mountain. I like eating meals without counting calories. I like my natural hair because maintaining straight hair in rural Kenya is absurd. I like being myself unapologetically. Interviewer, any regrets about the breakup that catalyzed all this? No. Best thing that ever happened to me. Sometimes you need someone to stop loving you so you can start loving yourself. I read that line 7 times. Sometimes you need someone to stop loving you so you can start loving yourself. Is that what I'd done? Stopped loving her? Or had I never loved her at all? Just loved the idea of her when she was small and unthreatening and willing to disappear into my shadow. You're up late, Vanessa's voice, groggy with sleep. Still thinking about the party? Couldn't sleep. Thinking about her. It wasn't a question. Vanessa, don't. She sat up, removing her eye mask. Even in the dim light, she was stunning. Don't lie to me. You've been different since seeing her. Distant. Like you're here, but not really. I'm just processing. You're realizing you made a mistake, she said it calmly, matter-of-factly. You're realizing that the woman you threw away became something extraordinary, and you missed it. That's not... Ethan, I'm not stupid. I've always known I wasn't your great love story. I was the logical next step, the appropriate match, the woman who fits your life without disrupting it. She pulled her knees to her chest. But her? She disrupted everything, didn't she? Even now. Especially now. I couldn't deny it. I need to know something, Vanessa continued. If she wanted you back, would you go? She doesn't want me back. Hypothetically, if she did, would you? I should have said no immediately. Should have reassured my fiancée that she was my choice, my future, my everything. But I hesitated, and that hesitation told Vanessa everything. I see. She stood, wrapping herself in a silk robe. I'm going to stay at my mother's for a few days. We both need to think about whether this engagement is what we really want. Vanessa, wait. No, because right now you're comparing me to her. And I'll lose that comparison because I'm not her. I never will be. And maybe, her voice cracked slightly, maybe you don't want me. Maybe you want what she represents. Disruption, challenge, someone who won't just fit into your life, but force you to question it. She left, and I sat in our perfect apartment, surrounded by perfect things, feeling completely hollow. The next morning, I did something I'd never done. I called in sick to work. Instead, I drove to Education Without Borders office, a modest building in a neighborhood I never visited, where rent was affordable and impact mattered more than appearance. The receptionist looked surprised. Mr. Carter, do you have an appointment? No. Is Maya available? Miss Bennett is actually leaving for Kenya in 2 hours. She's doing final prep. I'll wait. I sat in a lobby decorated with photos of schools they'd built, children they'd helped, communities they'd transformed. Every image showed Maya sometimes thin, sometimes heavier, but always the progression toward the woman I'd seen last night. Confident, present, real. Ethan? Maya appeared, wearing cargo pants and a t-shirt, hair pulled back, no makeup. What are you doing here? I need to talk to you. I have a flight. please, 5 minutes. She studied me, then nodded toward her office. 5 minutes. Her office was small, cluttered with maps and reports and photos of smiling children. No mahogany desk or leather chairs or status symbols, just work. Real, tangible work. What do you want? Ethan, I want to understand. What happened to you? How did you become this? This? She raised an eyebrow. You mean happy? Fulfilled? Fat? I mean confident, powerful, like you finally became yourself. I did become myself. The self I was always meant to be, before I tried to shrink into someone you'd love. She sat on the edge of her desk. You want to know the exact moment I changed? It was 3 days after you dumped me. I was standing in my apartment, crying, starving because I'd forgotten to eat again, and I realized I couldn't remember the last time I'd eaten a meal without calculating calories. The last time I'd worn something comfortable instead of something you'd find attractive. The last time I'd stated an opinion without first gauging your reaction. Maya, I'd erased myself completely, and you'd let me, encouraged me even, because small, agreeable Maya fit your life, but that Maya was dying. Literally, my doctor said I was dangerously underweight, my periods had stopped, my bone density was declining. I was killing myself to be lovable. I never wanted, you never wanted to see it. There's a difference. She stood. So, I made a choice. I started eating, really eating. I stopped straightening my hair because the chemicals were burning my scalp. I quit my job because I was only there to be geographically desirable to you. I applied to the Peace Corps, something I'd wanted for years, but you dismissed as lacking direction. And slowly, I became real, solid, undeniable. And you don't care what anyone thinks? I care what I think. Finally, she checked her watch. Your 5 minutes are up. Vanessa moved out. Maya's expression didn't change. That's unfortunate for both of you. I can't stop thinking about you, about seeing you at the party, about who you've become. Ethan, no. She shook her head. You don't get to do this. You don't get to suddenly find me interesting now that I'm unavailable and unconventional and not trying to please you. That's not what this is, isn't it? You're attracted to my confidence, my transformation, the fact that I don't need you. But that attraction is about you, not me. You're not seeing me, you're seeing your own regret reflected back. She moved to the door. I'm not your redemption arc. I'm not proof that you've grown or changed or become a better person. I'm just a woman who finally learned to love herself more than she loved your approval. I made a mistake. You made a choice, and I'm grateful for it, because that choice freed me. She opened the door, but I'm not interested in being chosen again by someone who only sees value in me now that I've stopped trying to be valuable to him. Maya, please? Ethan, I have to go. I have 60 children in Kenya waiting for their new school to open. I have teachers to train, resources to distribute, communities to serve. I don't have time to help you process your regrets. She paused. I hope you figure out what you actually want, and I hope it's not me, because I'm not available for men who need to see me unavailable before they find me desirable. She left, and I stood in her small office, surrounded by evidence of the life she'd built, the purpose she'd found, the impact she'd made, all without me. All because I'd let her go. I spent the next 3 weeks spiraling. Vanessa refused to see me, saying she needed space to decide if we had a future. Work felt meaningless, endless meetings about quarterly earnings and market share that suddenly seemed absurdly insignificant compared to building schools for children who'd never held a book. I watched Maya's TED Talk 17 times. I read every article about her organization. I donated $50,000 to Education Without Borders and felt dirty about it, like I was trying to buy relevance in her world. David invited me to lunch, his expression concerned. You look terrible. Thanks. Vanessa says you've been obsessing over Maya, says you can't let it go. How is that Vanessa's business? She called me crying, asking if Maya was really that amazing or if she's just different and you're mistaking novelty for substance. David leaned forward. So I'm going to tell you what I told her. Maya is legitimately extraordinary, but not because she transformed. Because she finally stopped performing and became authentic. I know that, do you? Because it sounds like you're romanticizing her now the same way you dismissed her then. She was too small, too agreeable, too conventional. Now she's too big, too confident, too unconventional. Either way, you're not seeing her. You're seeing your projection of her. That's not fair, isn't it? You didn't value her when she was trying to be valuable to you. Now she's not trying, and suddenly she's irresistible. That's not love, Ethan. That's ego. You're attracted to the fact that she doesn't want you. The words landed like punches. So what do? You let her go. Actually let her go. Not the performative breakup from 5 years ago where you felt superior for freeing her. Actually release her. Let her be happy without you orbiting her life, trying to understand what you lost. And Vanessa? Vanessa deserves someone who chooses her first, who doesn't compare her to an ex constantly, who sees her as more than a suitable match. David sighed. Look, I love you, man, but you're being selfish. You want Maya's validation that you're not shallow. You want Vanessa's forgiveness without actually changing. You want to feel like a good person without doing the hard work of becoming one. How do I become one? You figure out what you actually want, not what looks good, not what's appropriate, what actually makes you feel alive and purposeful and real. Then you do that. Without needing anyone's permission or validation, I went back to my apartment and looked around at the expensive furniture, the original art, the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. All of it felt like a movie set, beautiful but empty. I pulled out my laptop and started researching. Not Maya specifically, but the work she did. Education statistics in developing countries. The impact of literacy on poverty reduction. Organizations doing similar work. Success rates. Challenges. Failures. For the first time in years, I was reading about something that wasn't profit margins or market strategies. And something shifted. I spent the next 2 weeks working on a proposal, a real one, using my business skills, the strategy, the logistics, the financial modeling, but applying them to something meaningful. Then I called Maya's office. She's still in Kenya, the receptionist said, won't be back for 3 weeks. Can you give her a message? Tell her Ethan Carter would like to schedule a meeting when she returns. About a business proposition. Sure. Can I tell her what it's regarding? A partnership between Carter Industries and Education Without Borders. 3 weeks later, Maya sat across from me in a conference room at my office. She looked exhausted, sun-weathered, and more beautiful than I remembered. You wanted to meet about a partnership? Her tone was professional, distant. I slid the proposal across the table. Carter Industries wants to establish a corporate social responsibility division. Real impact, not just PR. I'm proposing a 5-year partnership with your organization. Financial support, logistical resources, engineering expertise for sustainable infrastructure. Total commitment, $50 million. She looked at the document, expression unreadable. Why? Because you were right. I've been building wealth without purpose, success without meaning. I want to do something that matters. And you need my organization to do that? I need guidance from people who've been doing this work authentically, who understand the communities, the challenges, the real needs. I leaned forward. This isn't about you and me. This is about impact, about using resources to create change. You understand this would require your actual involvement, not just writing checks? You need to visit sites, meet communities, get your hands dirty, literally. I understand. And you can't use this to get close to me. This is professional business, not personal. I understand that too. She studied the proposal for a long time. Then, I need to discuss this with my board. This kind of partnership, it could transform what we're able to do. But it could also compromise our mission if it becomes about corporate image instead of authentic impact. I'm not interested in image anymore. We'll see. She stood. I'll have an answer in 2 weeks. She left, taking the proposal, but leaving me with something I hadn't felt in years. Purpose. The answer came 10 days later, yes, with conditions. Maya's board approved the partnership, but required my personal involvement. I'd need to visit 3 sites over the next year, participate in ground-level work, and submit quarterly reports not on ROI, but on human impact. I agreed immediately. The first visit was brutal. Kenya, August heat, rural village, 3 hours from anything resembling infrastructure. I showed up in hiking boots I'd bought specifically for the trip, with enthusiasm that evaporated in the first hour of carrying cement bags up a hill. Maya watched me struggle with barely concealed amusement. Want to take a break, Carter? I'm fine. You're dying. Take a break. I collapsed under a tree, sweating through my moisture-wicking shirt, designed for people who exercised in air-conditioned gyms. Maya sat beside me, handing me water. You're doing better than I expected. Gee, thanks! No, seriously, most corporate types last about 15 minutes before complaining about conditions. You made it 2 hours. Is that your way of saying I'm not completely useless? It's my way of saying you're trying, authentically trying, not performing for my benefit, just doing the work. She looked at me. Why are you really here, Ethan? Because you were right. I'd built a life that looked successful but felt empty. And seeing what you'd built, how you'd transformed it, made me realize I'd been measuring the wrong things. So this is about me. No, it's about what you made me question. About realizing that success without purpose is just expensive emptiness. I took a breath. I'm not here to win you back. I know that door is closed. But I am here to become someone I can respect. Someone who does something that matters. And if this partnership ends, if you never see me again, you'd keep doing this work? Yes. Because for the first time in years, I feel like I'm building something real. Not just wealth, impact. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, okay, I believe you. Not because of your words, because of your blisters. She pointed to my hands, raw from carrying materials. Those are real, earned. You can't fake those. Over the next 6 months, I visited 2 more sites. Got dysentery in Guatemala, learned to build water filtration systems in Tanzania, sat with community leaders, and really listened to what they needed, instead of assuming I knew better. And slowly, I transformed. Not physically, though. I did lose the gym-perfect physique in favor of functional strength. But internally, I stopped measuring success in dollars and started measuring it in children educated, communities empowered, lives changed. I broke off my engagement with Vanessa officially. It was painful, but necessary. She deserves someone who chose her passionately, not someone settling for appropriate. I hope you find what you're looking for, she said at our final meeting. I hope I already have. A year after the birthday party, I attended the opening of Education Without Borders' 10th school, this one in rural Peru, built with Carter Industries' support and my actual labor. Maya gave a speech to the community in fluent Spanish I didn't know she spoke, thanking them for their trust and partnership. Afterward, we stood watching children stream into their new classroom. Thank you, she said quietly, for doing this right, for not making it about redemption or romance, for just showing up and doing the work. Thank you for showing me what work worth doing looks like. Are you happy? Actually happy? I thought about it. I'm becoming someone I can respect. That's more valuable than happiness. That's very wise for a former CEO who measured success in profit margins. I learned from the best. She smiled, not the polite smile from the party, but genuine warmth, For what it's worth, I'm proud of you, of who you're becoming. That means more than you know. We stood in comfortable silence, watching the sunset over mountains, listening to children's laughter echoing from the school. Ethan, Maya said eventually, I forgive you for how things ended, for not seeing me then, for all of it. I don't deserve. Forgiveness isn't about deserving, it's about releasing. I'm releasing you from guilt, from the need to prove yourself. You've already proven it. She touched my arm briefly. Be free. Build good things. Make real impact. That's enough. Friends? I asked. Friends, she agreed. Complicated, messy, earned through hard work friends. I could live with that. 3 years later. The Forbes article headline read, From CEO to Changemaker, How Ethan Carter Redefined Success. They'd interviewed me at a school site in Cambodia, covered in dust, teaching local engineers sustainable building techniques. You gave up a billion-dollar company to work in international development, the interviewer noted. Do you regret it? I didn't give it up. I redirected it. Carter Industries still exists, but now our primary mission is social impact. We're profitable, but profit funds purpose. I smiled. I spent 15 years building wealth. Now I'm spending the rest of my life building meaning. And the infamous breakup? The ex-girlfriend whose transformation allegedly inspired this change? Maya Bennett showed me what authentic success looks like. Not by trying to teach me, but by living it so fully I couldn't ignore the contrast. I paused. She didn't save me. She didn't fix me. She just existed so completely as herself that it forced me to question who I was becoming. Are you two together? We're colleagues, friends, collaborators. And that's perfect. Because this isn't a love story where the guy wins back the girl. It's a growth story where two people became better versions of themselves by letting go of who they thought they should be. The article included a photo, Maya and me at a ribbon-cutting ceremony. Both dusty, both laughing, both exactly where we were meant to be. Not together, but parallel, building similar impact in different ways. I never got Maya back. Never won her. But I found something better. I found purpose, meaning, a life built on impact rather than image. And I learned the hardest lesson of all. Sometimes the person you lose becomes the catalyst for finding yourself. Not because you get them back, but because their absence forces you to fill the space with something real. Maya filled her space with schools and children, and communities transformed. I filled mine with the same. And maybe that was the happy ending we both deserve, not together, but building similar good in the world, occasionally crossing paths to celebrate what we'd created. You know what's funny? Maya said at that ribbon cutting. Continue 8:12 p.m. after the cameras stopped. I used to think my biggest accomplishment would be getting you to love me. Now my biggest accomplishment is loving myself enough that I don't need you to. And mine, I replied, is becoming someone who understands why that matters. She smiled, that real, radiant smile that had stopped me cold at the birthday party. Good, she said. We're both growing, just like we should be. We went back to work, her to her next project, me to mine. Friends, collaborators. Two people who'd once broken each other, then broken free, then built something meaningful from the pieces. That wasn't the ending I'd wanted 3 years ago. It was better. Ethan didn't get Maya back. He got himself back and built a life of purpose instead of regret. Have you ever lost someone and realized that losing them helped you find yourself? What did you build from those broken pieces? Share your story below. Your transformation might inspire someone who's still in the breaking.